Hey, you're a soulmate. I know you, or better still, you're a twin flame. I know you, deep and true and powerful. Let's talk about your soul, your oversoul, who you are, how you show up as a being on this planet, because we've thought of ourselves as one human being with one soul, for the most part, but it's not that way at all. You are one soul, and the one soul that you are has multiple bodies. And it gets even wilder than that. The one soul that you are that has multiple bodies, those multiple bodies are not all of the same dimensional frequency, which means some of them might be here in the false matrix, 3D, hi, how you doing? Others might be 4D, hey, how are you? 5D, 60, 70, 80, 12D, God world. The you that you are as an infinite soul extends all the way to source and expresses itself at any level of consciousness between here where you are right now and there, which is at the highest possible realm. That's the bandwidth of your soul, which is a pretty damn big field of experience. And that's why your soul can animate multiple forms simultaneously. When we say, hey, you're a soulmate, I know you, or better still, you're a twin flame. I know you, deep and true and powerful. What we're doing is we're meeting aspects of our own soul. And something in us profoundly shifts and changes when that happens. And we didn't before. We didn't. We went through our world, we went through our life pre-2012, where the timeline shift started happening. It was not impossible, but incredibly rare to meet soulmates of the depth that we are now meeting, twin flames of the depth that we are now meeting. What do I mean by of the depth? Basically, the soul very often has multiple beings that have walked through the same type of journeys. So it's kind of like the soul making sure that it gets the energetic repertoire, because that's what we're all doing. Here, what we call learning lessons is building energetic repertoire, and everything that we learn here is being infused into the soul, expanding the soul. You think the soul expands you, which it does, but simultaneously you're also expanding the soul. So the soul will have certain trajectories, certain things that it wants to expand into. For example, unconditional love. So it's going to have various forms of itself, various expressions of itself go through. For example, a lack of love. Those beings then all have a very similar energy because they're on the same purpose, the same path, which is, I want to know unconditional love. So they've had all of these experiences in common. Then when they meet up, they are twin flame or soulmates of that depth. And I know you're going to say to me, what's the difference between a twin flame and a soulmate? Quite frankly, it's semantics. I think that we have called just about anyone that we have a connection with, either a twin flame or a soulmate. And the more we get sensitive to the energy that we are, the deeper we experience love and connections. We are experiencing love and connection to others in a way that we could never experience before because we're evolving. But we don't understand that it's us that's evolving. It's us that's causing the depth of connection with others now. And so instead we outsource our power to others and we say, hey, it's you, you're my twin flame. Hey, it's you, you're my soulmate or a soulmate. A soulmate is exactly what the word says, a friend of my soul. Hey, mate, you're a mate of my soul. You are one of me. You are kindred. So I can look at my husband and I can say to you, oh, yeah, baby, that is a twin flame. We met 2011, just before that 2012, stepping into the real higher timeline. And that's where a lot of those connections happened around about 2010 to 2012. And of course, they're ongoing every single day. We are at a threshold right now, by the way. You might be interested to know that there are a lot of people that you're on the brink of meeting, and you're on the brink of meeting them because they are of the same frequency as you. And simultaneously, there are going to be a lot of people leaving. And those people that are leaving because they cannot be in your field anymore. Your frequency is surpassing where they want to go. And when that happens, you become very challenging for them to be around. So there will be people leaving, but there will be people coming in. And those that come in now, especially as you shift frequency, especially as you shift into your truth. You see how it's always you that's the catalyst? When you shift into your truth, you attract these types of relationships. And why didn't they happen before? Because when they do, when we step into a twin flame or a soulmate relationship, whoa, it catalyzes us. We elevate in frequency in a way that we couldn't access before and in a way that we couldn't get to on our own. It would have taken us multiple lifetimes. But when we connect with a twin flame or a soulmate, that's a big burst of energy into it, almost like a jet fuel, like this big injection of cosmic knowingness that comes in, because now you can read the field of one who is of the same soul. One who is of the same soul as you have such an affinity with them that you don't even have to speak. You guys, I remember when I first met my husband, actually the truth is we were friends for quite a few months before, and the honest truth, and he'll bear me out on this, it's quite a sad story. I ran away from the dude who I love and adore with all of my life and all of my heart, and I can't believe, I'm mortified that I did this, but I ran away from him for about 6 months. I just didn't want to go out with him. We were best friends, and I just didn't want to bugger up a best friendship. And the crazy thing is that something in me knew, Carrie, if you let this man in, baby, there is no going back. And it's mad how addicted to our past, how addicted to the frequency of our past we are, that there was this man who I could never have even dared to ask for. I could never have even dreamed that somebody so supremely loving, beautiful, conscious, astounding, angelic would come into my life. And then he did, and I did a bolt for a good 6 months. Thank God he was persistent enough to keep coming back and not giving up on me. I gave up on me. He didn't. But that's part of the journey, not the running away. Part of the journey of meeting that twin flame or soulmate is that you know you're never going to be the same again. You expand so completely. So on one level, look at what we've done. We've said, hey, it's because of my twin flame that I am more, instead of realizing it's because I am more that my twin flame can come in now. Let's expand a little bit further out though. Remember, we had the impression that we were one person with one soul. Now we're realizing, oh no, one soul has multiple persons, multiple peoples at various dimensional levels. And just by the way, not all on the same planet. Obviously, you're multidimensional. So you may be in a different galaxy, a different universe. There are different yous belonging to the same soul spread throughout the universe. And this is also why when we say, I'm a starseed, a lot of the time what we're feeling is the fact that our soul already right now expresses itself at various other planetary points, various other galaxies, various other frequencies, and we may have an affinity to that place and that frequency. So we get very homesick for it because maybe at the soul level we remember it, or maybe we were just there. In other words, in a past experience before we came into this life, maybe we were there at one of those alternate lives of the same soul. But let's expand beyond this now and understand that your soul has an oversoul. So how multidimensional are you? Because now, expansion, you're realizing, wow, one soul, multiple bodies, but one oversoul has multiple souls. And do you know where you are in relation to your soul? I think this is the best visual that I can give you. Imagine yourself in the middle, cocooned by all of the layers of your multidimensionality. So you are in effect inside You are inside your soul. You are in the center of your soul. And all that surrounds you is your own soul. And all that surrounds your own soul is your own oversoul. And all that surrounds your own oversoul is God, also known as Source, also known as the Supreme Consciousness, the creator of all that is. You're in the middle of all of that. And you know what gets me every time? When I teach meditation or any kind of energy work, so often people say, oh, I'm so scared of feeling out here in my field. Kind of like that thing of, I'm scared of the boogeyman. I'm scared of being psychically attacked. I'm scared of the energy out here. This is you. This is your field. You just forgot how to occupy your own field. A large part of the work that I do, especially when we do entity clearing work or energy work, is getting into your body. Oh, definitely, absolutely getting into your body, but also getting into your field where you exist, what you're in the center of. So hopefully this allows you to reorganize in your sense of self, who and what you actually are. Hopefully this allows you to have a broader perspective of what it means to be you with a soul. Do you see how very not alone you are? That's the journey that you came here for. It's the journey from aloneness to oneness. It's the journey of separation and division back into the wholeness. And the wholeness of you already exists. It's not something you're becoming, it's something that you're remembering. One of the things that when I met my husband, one of the things that we did that I'll always remember, this was now, when I say when we met, what I'm saying is when I met him, when I let him in, one of the first times that we were on a date together. He was at my house. I think we'd made lunch, and he was always at my house visiting as a friend. Now we were on a date. This was very weird and new. I sat down on the couch and he sat next to me. And I put my legs over his legs. And we just sat there. Not an awkward silence, certainly not an uncomfortable silence, the opposite. The most comfortable silence that up until that point I had ever been in my life. My eyes were open, but I was in a meditation. I was in a bliss. I was in a peace that surpasses all things, that kind of peace. And we just sat there. That's the kind of electric moment that you have when you're in the presence of a twin flame or a soulmate. And by the way, I said earlier, it's just semantics, the difference between the two. Maybe if I elucidate a little bit more clearly, I would say this. Always, don't worry about the labels. Always, don't worry about definitions. Always, don't worry about, and please drop that part of you that wants to analyze, because that's just the brain wanting to get involved. But just for the sake of curiosity, there is a nuanced difference between a twin flame and a soulmate, and it's this. The twin flame has walked parallel to you for pretty much all of your lives. That twin flame has been your backup. Meaning, if I don't complete, if I don't walk through this lesson, you will. One of us will. Kind of like, I've got you. I've got you. If you don't get this, I'll get it on your behalf. So it's kind of like your partner that you've walked through multiple lifetimes with. Even when you were on different planets, in different bodies, different dimensions, different lives, you were always in some way paralleling each other. Here's something super interesting as well, is that for those of you in those kinds of relationships, those twin flame relationships, very often there's interesting stories that abound that say, do you know, we should have met years ago because we were, for example, on the same holiday 20 years before we actually met, or we were, in my case, with my husband, we were always just down the road from each other. We were always, it's the weirdest thing. How we never met before, astounding. We never met, well, probably, as we've worked out, we must have been on the same buses at multiple times in our lives. So we were always paralleling each other, but never quite meeting. That is very much what the twin flame is. But when we come into a life like this one, we're coming into a completion life. This is where we bring out the big guns, because now we're in a completion cycle. They're completing, we're completing, and now it's a case of, okay, baby, we can come together and complete together. This partnership can now finally come home. There's no more longing for each other. Now we can finally come home. And you'll know this. There are a lot of you guys, let me know who you are in the comments, that have a sense of a twin flame that you haven't yet met in the physical. Sometimes you might say to me, I've heard lots of amazing stories about twin flames on other planets, that you've got a psychic connection with them. You can feel the presence of this being. I believe that completely, wholeheartedly, and absolutely. Yes, you do, and it's powerful. And, certainly it can be somebody's imagination, but this is a very real thing. Always remember, though, that you're at the center of your soul, which means it's so important that you don't outsource your power and think things like, I'll never be whole until I have my soulmate twin flame with me. That is simply not true. And that would be you abandoning your post. That would be you abandoning the purpose that you and your twin flame are accomplishing, which is to simultaneously rise up at the same time, possibly in the same place, possibly not, but to reach the highest, most elevated states of your being. And even if you're in two different universes, to do it simultaneously, reach your highest. Don't be in a waiting, don't be in a longing, be in a presence, be in a fullness, be in a wholeness. Now is the time for you to truly meet yourself in the depth that you came here for. From my heart, all the way to yours. So much love. Speak to you soon.